Hello! It's that time of year again. Recruitment is about to be in full swing. My name's Audrey. I'm going to be a junior at the University of Texas, so that means I've gone through Rush as a PNM, which is potential new member. That's what you are, going through Rush, and as an active already in a sorority. So I've been on both sides of the conversation. So I wanted to do a video talking about questions to ask as a PNM, and then questions if you're an active to ask as an active, or if you're a PNM that you're probably might be asked by an active, if that makes sense. This video really is for both people. If you're an active and you're nervous to talk to girls, or if you're going through Rush and you want to be a little bit prepared and kind of know what to talk about. I think the most important thing to remember is that Rush is just a bunch of conversations and everyone is as nervous as you are. As a girl who's rushing, you have to remember that the girl you're talking to went through the same process as you, and they're just as nervous to talk to you because they want you to have a good conversation with them. With that being said, also, as a PNM, it's not your job to drive the conversation. That's what the active is there for. But I always think it's nice to have questions in case that doesn't happen, and so that you get out of the conversation as much as you want. These rounds go by fast and you want to make sure that you get the most out of these girls to learn about them while simultaneously showing them that you care and that you want to be there. And so that's what these questions are geared for, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through them. I've done videos before about like what all the rounds are and stuff like that, so go watch that if you're not familiar. Some of these questions are round specific and some of them you can just ask whenever, which I'll kind of get to. But starting off with philanthropy, they're going to talk about their philanthropy, and so you want to show that you're interested in their philanthropy. A big question for me is I always ask, what hands-on things do you do for your philanthropy and what kind of fundraisers do you do? There are some sororities that are mainly really fundraising based, and there's some that are really hands-on, and then there's like mixes of both. That's a good thing to know about which one that you would be interested in working with, because in a sorority you do philanthropy stuff. Like, it's usually required, so you want to do something that you're passionate about and that you could see yourself doing, and they're gonna talk about those things. Like, that's the whole point of philanthropy round, is to show how much they love their philanthropy and all the stuff that they do for them. And so I think that's a great question, because then it just leads them to talk about their philanthropy. Along with that, what's your favorite philanthropy event? So they'll say all their events, and so you can ask which is their favorite and then learn about more of it. During Rush, I don't know if mine was just because it was on Zoom, but every sorority played a video showing them doing their events and like listing all of them. And so you could mention the video and say like, I saw blank in the video, could you tell me more about that event? Moving on to sisterhood round, what's your favorite sisterhood event? Just another one. They're probably going to show it in the video, some of their date events, stuff like that, things that they love about their sisters, and so then you can just ask for them to elaborate on that. The kind of question, this is like my number one favorite question that I would ask during Rush, and this told me a lot about the sorority and which one I wanted to be in. What kinds of things do you do with the girls in your sorority outside of sorority events? I, going through Rush, was really looking for friends, as most people are, I think, and so that was like a huge question for me in the sorority that I'm in now. This girl told me that they go on picnics every weekend, and that was like, oh my gosh, that's something that I would want to do. Like, I love picnics, I'm down. This seems like a great place for me. And then another great question to ask, and I would kind of save it for sisterhood round, is I'm interested in a leadership position. How do you get into a leadership position in your sorority? If you're not interested in that, you don't have to ask, but sororities are looking for girls who want to get involved, and honestly, that's the best way to get things out of your sorority. Like, you should want to get involved because that makes the experience so much better. And talking about that, you can kind of see what the process is like, if you can get positions freshman year, sophomore year, and if they are in any leadership positions, and then they'll kind of flag you for being interested in that. Moving on to pref, but these questions I also asked like throughout the rounds. I want to know more about your recruitment experience. How did you know blank sorority was where you wanted to be? I love this question. I love answering this question. I feel like it tells you a lot. Girls love to tell their stories about why they chose their sorority because everyone has a reason why. Then it gives insight to you of what kind of place it is and what drew them to it, and if those values match your values. And the last question's, what's your favorite part about your sorority? Kind of vague. I wouldn't use this question unless I really didn't have anything else to ask. I like the last question a little bit better, but this will also kind of bring out the same things of why they chose it and stuff like that. Those are a few questions that I would ask. Again, you don't need to prepare a ton because they're going to kind of guide the conversation. And then these questions also open up more conversations where you can ask little questions like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, like tell me more about that, whatever. Now as the active. So these are questions that I was asked as a PNM or that I like asking as an active. So ideas for both. First, sometimes you start with an icebreaker. Icebreakers really happen the most during philanthropy round. Afterwards, you kind of either have talked to them before or you've talked to their friends so they kind of know you. I don't love starting with icebreakers. I feel like it's just so obvious that it is an icebreaker. These are some of my favorite or some that I was asked as a PNM. Describe your perfect day. That leads to a lot of conversations. One that I remember getting during Rush that I thought was really fun was if you could design your own music festival, who would be the top 3 headliners? And I think that like is also fun because you can start talking about music and it's just a fun, lighthearted way to start the conversation. But mainly they're just gonna ask where you're living freshman year, or at least that's like the number one question I got, where you're from, and then if you're from out of state, they're gonna ask you, oh, what made you come to Texas? Literally got that so much. Honestly didn't ask it as an active because it was so annoying to literally tell the story of why I came to Texas out of state every single time, but you might be asked it. And then what's your major? Okay, back to philanthropy. This is stuff that I would be asked. Did you have the opportunity to volunteer in high school? So this is your chance to talk about the things you did in high school, what you're passionate about. If you didn't volunteer in high school, that's completely fine, but this is your chance to be like, no, I didn't really get the chance to do that, but I'm super excited, and that's a reason why I want to join a sorority, because I want to be involved in my community, all of that kind of stuff. If you did, they're gonna ask you what are some philanthropies you were involved with in high school. You can kind of talk about that. Again, if you haven't, just segue the conversation to, oh my gosh, I really want to hear more about yours, like I really want to get into it more, whatever. Another question that they'll ask in either sisterhood or philanthropy is, what are you looking for in a sorority? I like asking this question as an active to see if their values align, and then also you as a PNM can tell them why you want to join a sorority, what connections you're looking for. The reason why I wanted to join a sorority is I always said like my mom was in one and she has lifelong friends, and I'm really looking for those lifelong friends in college. That was great, and then it kind of just leads to more conversations, and girls will probably be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's why I joined a sorority and that's why I found that here, whatever. Another question, more for sisterhood, what is something that you're looking for in a friendship in college? This was my opportunity to kind of talk about how I didn't really have that many friends in high school, so I was looking for a close, tight-knit group of girls that were super supportive and girls that I looked up to. That was like always my answer, and like these things are true. It's not like all fabricated responses, even though this sounds like it. I've just really rehearsed. After you go through Rush, you really rehearse all your answers. But like I said, if you didn't have friends in high school, that's like totally okay. I don't think of that as a red flag as a person in sorority, and maybe that's because I didn't have friends in high school either, but it really showed that like I knew what I was looking for in a friendship, in that like I wanted to find it in college, and I was going to be involved in my sorority because I wanted to have those friends. Does that make sense? Another question, what was some of your favorite things to do in high school with your friends? Just kind of a basic one that you could be asked. Overall, after the video, they're probably going to ask you, what do you think of our presentation? What do you think of the video? And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, everyone was so cute, it looks so much fun. You know, I'm like literally telling you like a script to say, and that's not my intention at all. Literally like be yourself. But those are the examples that I would say. And then also they may ask like how your day or week has been. And you don't have to keep it positive. You can be honest, being like, oh wow, like I just moved into my dorm. It's been a really hard adjustment. I'm kind of struggling, and they understand that. Like Rush is such a long, hard week, and like you don't need to act like everything's perfect. Like if you're going through a hard time and you tell them that, the way that they respond is also a telling way of what being in their sorority would be like, because in college you're gonna have hard times and you kind of want to see how people respond. But like if you're not having a hard time, that's fine too. Just say you're loving college and everything. Like the active will match your energy. Like if you're not having a great day, they're gonna try to hype you up, they're gonna try to make you feel better. If you're on top of the moon, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, we're having so much fun. And as an active, that's not fake. Like I liked just having, like if you're having a conversation with a friend and they're not feeling great, you're gonna kind of match their energy, and it's the same way during recruitment. Moving on to just like more general advice. Don't like ask these questions back to back to back. It should be a conversation. Like these, I didn't give you a ton of questions because the conversation shouldn't be question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. You just start with that question and then it leads on to more questions and just more like having a conversation. You also like don't have to stick to the round script. Like philanthropy, yes, you want to talk about their philanthropy and you want to hear about it, but if you start talking about other things and just vibe with them and just start having a great conversation, that's great too. I think the most important part is to be yourself, literally on either side. As the PNM, you want to find a sorority that like wants you for you and that you would vibe with just being yourself. And so if you put on this other persona during rush, you're maybe not going to find the home where your true self belongs. And I think it's important to remember that the actives know their sorority really well. And so if you get dropped by a sorority, it's not necessarily personal. One, there's so many girls going through recruitment, they can't keep everyone. Two, they know their sorority better than you know them, and so they might think, oh, I think she would fit in really good at that sorority, so we're not going to keep her. And I think that I didn't realize that as a PNM, and it's really hard to realize that. But now that I know the sororities that I got let go by during rush, I was devastated. I was crying. I was so sad. But now, 2 years into college, I can't really see myself in those sororities, and so I think that's important to remember. When you eventually get let go by sororities, it's gonna happen. You're not gonna keep every sorority that you have. That's just how the process works. You don't take it personally and just think of it as trusting the process and knowing that you're gonna get to the right place if you just be yourself in that sorority that will accept you for you and that will be supportive of you, and that you're gonna find the friends that best suit you, will love you, and will want you back. Going into rush, I knew nothing about any of the sororities, and honestly I think that helped and hurt a little bit. And so I would do a little bit of research, but try to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, if someone doesn't like a sorority, there could be a bajillion reasons why that you wouldn't really actually care about. If you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so many sororities, I don't know if I'm gonna choose the right one, it's gonna feel right, and you're gonna feel like you're at home, and you're gonna feel like you're already talking to one of your best friends. And that's how I felt with mine, and I feel like I made like the perfect choice. I don't regret it at all. And I just want you to remember that the process is like really exhausting. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's hard because you're having all of these conversations and your social battery is literally gonna run to zero, but it's so worth it in the end. And I just want you to trust the process and be yourself, because you are all amazing. You all have such unique aspects that you would add so much to a sorority, and I know that you're gonna get so much out of it. Also, another tip, make sure to be writing all of these down. I always had a notebook in front of me, one with all these questions listed because you might blank, but then also every sorority's answer to it, so at the end of the day when you are choosing and picking who you want to keep for the next round, you have everyone's answers and you can kind of remember, oh, that's what she talked about. I remember liking that conversation. I remember feeling good during that conversation. And really just go by these feelings and your true self, and nothing about what other people think about rankings, whatever. This is your sorority experience. These are your friends that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Everyone going through the process on the other side wants you to find your home, even if it's not their home. So I want you to remember that. Everyone's wishing you the best. I hope this video helped. I'm so excited for all of you. Recruitment is such a unique experience, and just remember to trust the process, be true to yourself, and it'll hopefully lead to you finding your home where you're gonna find all of your future forever friends. And I'm so excited for all of you. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Go follow me on Instagram. I linked a ton of socials, my blog, everything below. I'll also link my other sorority recruitment advice like videos below. Make sure to subscribe. I'm about to move back. I'm gonna do a ton of recruitment content on my Instagram and my TikTok, and then of course I'll do a recruitment vlog on here, so make sure to subscribe. Go follow everything below. I love you all so much. You are all amazing, beautiful people inside and out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.